Hi guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Oh, I'm hanging in. It's 105. Well, it was, but now it's 100. And I have no AC working properly. I'm going to attempt this again because my strike finally went bye-bye. I'm going to do my insights on Dolores Cannon's 3 waves of volunteers and the new Earth. So I don't have a problem with Dolores Cannon. I have a problem when there are issues, money, things of that nature for knowledge that should be free. I do promote this book, highly recommended when my friends or people start waking up to spirituality, to understanding the components of things. And that's one of the first to go to, you must read books. So this is vitally important. Before I start, please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Sharing is caring. And if you like to support my work, the information will be linked down below. And that's if I ever give you an epiphany, a connect the dot, a mic drop moment. I brought you to a new author. It helps me so I'm able to move out of tyranny and communism so I can actually do this without having to ask for anything, because knowledge should be free, but my situation is still looming. And I still have the internet, so I'm going with it. And I do apologize. It is ridiculously hot in my house. I have a fan going and there's a little bit of a breeze. So please, I'm sunburnt, by the way, so I had to take my jewelry off to put aloe and ointment. It's not that bad up here, but my legs, I need the color. As you could see, I need the color. I like to look healthy and radiant. Anywho, why this book is so important. Not everything that Dolores Cannon says I'm in agreement with, believe it or not. And it's not because she gave the wrong information or she's not a medium. She's a hypnotherapist. She takes people back into their past lives and way deep. She's gotten people to the cloud and to their higher selves who said that you were once a rock, a tree, a fire, the water, the air. Just like the Native Americans say that everything has essence. It does. Because in each density that our consciousness is in, many of us play different roles and many of us went through all the stages. And here we are in third. And each dimension and density has its own learning capacity. And third density is self-awareness and awareness of others and self, the other selves. Fourth is compassion. And we're going to talk about that. When you're first waking up, especially people who have resonated with the term starseed or wanderer from the Law of One, we begin to question, okay, so I don't feel like I'm from here. Where am I from? And at the beginning stage, it really doesn't matter where you resided from because we've traversed space. We're immortal beings. We were everything before we came into this body. You chose that. But we had to do all kinds of lessons. And when we first started out, we might have not come from Earth, our energy and our essence. The first wave of volunteers had to happen because although Dolores is very keen on telling us that there's no evil entities, we do live in duality. We live in third dimension, third density. Many of us are consciously already on fourth and fifth density, but we're still in third density, third dimension. We're vibrating between third and fourth dimension. So we might consciously be there, but our vehicles are still very stuck in the matrix. And with the matrix comes the swinging of the pendulum. If we read the 7 Hermetic principles, very highly recommended. I do it in the Kabbalion. There's both polarities in third dimension, third density. So you get free will to know if you are going to be on the negative path or you're going to be on the positive path. And all is up from the creator. So no worries if you feel you're a narcissist, you're self-absorbed, because you chose that role for this lifetime and for the direction of where your soul needs to grow. That, in essence, is fine. It's under creator, so no worries. But the imbalance of the planet, the overwhelming concerns, had other star systems start capitulating to each other and saying, hey, we need to work together. Earth is a very vital portion of our universe, and the beings are still evolving, still learning, and they're not technologically where they should be. And a lot of this stuff has been suppressed against their consent and will. And we have to help them. But how do we do that without causing a war? Well, then they started the Starseed Envoy, a lot of people call it the Envoy program, where other entities, other souls that lived in alien lives, I'm going to call them aliens, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, whatever you would like to resonate with, that's for you, incarnated in human form. Many of us have been doing this for every Earth cycle. I'm one of them. I've been here for every Earth cycle. I've been here for every travesty, deluge, and hell. Okay. Many of us have not done that. We've lived in other galaxies and planets and traversed different things. And then we come here and we forget everything. Some of us have the remembering. Some of us know, not at all, but pieces and chunks of things. There are some people that can tap into the Akashic records. There's some people that can tap into a lot more than most. The thing that I put out there is that people could tap in, but your timeline continuously changes all the time. Not on a major scale, but it depends on what direction you're taking your life in. Now we're collectively having a huge change. This change should have already happened, but it's been held up, and I'll go into that later. The first wave of volunteers, in my opinion, she dates it a little differently, but from what I get, because of my mother was born in 1946, my adoptive mother. My biological mother was born in 1965. Both star seeds. 2 different generations. My adoptive mother came just to be. She came in to radiate the light, to hold the space, to help neutralize planet Earth of the negative and try to get it into a balance energy. She didn't know it. She had no freaking clue. I picked up on it after she passed away. And then I got confirmation that she was a starseed. My biological mother came in later. And in between that time, I don't know if she would still can be considered a first wave or at the beginning of a second wave. But the first waves, I would say 1920s, where there was, I mean, there were always starseeds, don't get me wrong. In the time of Yeshua was a starseed. Sorry, guys. Not a bad thing. There was always starseeds, but not in mass. Not in mass. And in the 1920s and 30s, they started to come in. And by the 1940s, more like the baby boom, we call it the baby boomers, they started to come in. And I believe that was really the first initial shock wave of a lot of different souls coming in. But they were just trying to help the energies and just be. Then there's a second wave that happened between the 1960s and the late 1980s, early 90s. And that might even be taken a little further in. Second waves, and again, I don't necessarily go off of Dolores Cannon with this. She said that would be the Indigo Kids, and I don't like to label things because we're all individual. We all come with a different soul mission and a purpose, a greater purpose. And not to say that people that are from Earth and have Earth souls don't have a mission and they're here to help just as well. We all have different missions. We're all individualized. We all have different star families. We all come from different clusters of the universe. So no one's above another. We're all equal. And that nonsense has to stop, by the way. There are people who are more spiritually aware, who have bigger and better gifts, but we all have the gifts. We just have to develop them. And unfortunately, when you're stuck with poison and being throttled constantly with energy, you know, some things are out of your control. And then the third wave came in between the 1990s into the 2000s. I don't believe that the waves have stopped, even though Dolores Cannon did pass away. I believe we're now seeding the fourth wave of children. And a lot of these children have exhibited autism and a lot of health issues. That's because they need to teach us compassion. Not just our animals. Our animals are also here to help us learn unconditional love, learn compassion, and learn responsibility of taking care of other entities lower than us. They're in second density. We're preparing them for being human, in my eyes. The key that unlocks all of this is when you go home and you're, feeling like you're isolated, you don't know what your purpose is, you don't know what star system, you just don't feel like me. Hi. I'm not necessarily from here. I am not. And I've always felt different, always been treated differently, always felt invisible. And I still feel like that at times now, where I'm trying to capture things, get information out, even in my day to day, like, hi, I'm having a yard sale. Like, what harm is it for you to share that on your page? Hey, my friend Allison's having a yard sale, please support her. Crickets. Our animals are here to teach us also compassion. With the idea that Earth is going to do that, I don't know. No one really knows. And the reason for that is, again, the timelines in the multiverse. There are multiple Earths seated with different versions of us with choices we didn't make. And Dolores goes into that a lot in the book, so I do subscribe to read this book. It's very important. Although at first it is a consciousness upliftment, and yes, the Schumann resonance is going crazy. Whiteouts, periods of calm, and then another way, and little lines. A lot of energy is coming in because we're getting prepared. We're waking up. We're waking up to other paradigms. We're waking up to different ideas. We're waking up to ourselves. We are starting to remember who we were. Again, we're immortal beings, and we lived a hell of a lot of lifetimes before this one that we're here now. The difference is we don't remember. Now we're starting to remember because it's our time to learn how powerful we all are internally and spiritually. The first wave of people that came in were vital to helping the energy shift its course. And although it doesn't feel like that, and we've been deceived by every entity known to man, these people that came in, including my mother, we're here to guide and give the energy and essence to the second wave, where we're more aware that there's something off with us, that we are, light emanating beings, that we resonate with different things, and it doesn't make sense. But now it's starting to. Now we're realizing where our roles might be. Even though if we don't choose one path, there's many directions that we can go in to help others. And now the second wave is starting to understand what their purpose and role is here. And a lot of it is to clean up what the hell has been taking place in the world for millennia. And by our example, we're showing the third wave of the teens and early 20 kids what it's going to take to do the work, to finish what we started. So that now the fourth wave can finally live in peace and harmony and not fall into the trap that we were held hostage under and wasn't not aware of what was happening. So yes, we're here to clean up the earth. Many of us in our late 20s, early 40s, or early 30s, let me take that back. Mid 30s, 40s, and 50s, we're the second wave. We're being activated. Our DNA is changing. We're going through a lot of changes in our bodies. We're going through the ascension symptoms. We might think it's something else, but it's our body purging itself. It's changing. We have to realize that, again, it doesn't matter where you come from in the universe. You could say, I'm a starseed from the Pleiades. That's great, but that's not the only place you inhabited, because your alien soul was in different stars, galaxies, and wherever you were needed, you were shipped to. It took me a little bit to even comprehend that for myself, but I resonate with it. I could be the Alpha Centaurian Palladian Norigellus starseed, because those are the places that I inhabited the most. But I could have been also in Orion. I could have been a part of some of the wars. I won't know until I fully am activated. And a lot of us are at different points in different places in this activation. It's what your body and soul can handle. So also be aware that it might be frustrating that all these people are waking up, all these people are talented, and they're throwing the light language at you. You're like, what the hell is that? That sounds really foreign to me. But everybody has their own specific independent role. Everybody has their own specific mission. So don't feel like you're missing out on anything. You have a piece of the puzzle, and all of us collectively have to put the piece in the big picture together. And that includes you. That includes me. That includes anybody that's listening. It's very vital that we understand that. Have compassion for yourself first. It's hard. We are all going through a really tough time, not feeling hot, having all this trauma. I think Chiron is in retrograde, so all these wounded things are coming up, and especially if it's in Aries for you, holy hell. Astrologically speaking, things are an upheaval for a good reason, and we need to heal all these traumas in order to move forward. A lot of us are getting a new start and a new beginning. I'm in this in-between period where I have a beautiful new beginning that I'm trying to manifest into an existence. It's this in-between that is killing me, literally. All for good knowledge, and that's great. But if I were to go and do a QHHT session, that's Dolores Cannon's way of getting into your higher self and asking your subconscious what the hell is going on. Like, you chose this. We all did. But collectively, we need to start focusing on how can you be compassionate, not only to yourself, but to others. Because that's fourth density. That is the major education, knowledge. We went through third density, self-discovery. So when you're a baby and you're put in front of the mirror and you see yourself for the first time, you just self-identified because you're now seeing yourself. When you're born, you're not given a mirror, you're given your mom and dad. So you only see first person experience until you're given that mirror and you can see, I have two eyes, I have a nose, I have a mouth, I have hair. Holy crap. That's me. We don't always have that. We were the cavemen that lit the fire by accident and burnt ourselves and died. We were that cavemen that went into the water not knowing how to swim and drowned. And each time you come back, you don't know why, but you don't go close to that fire and you don't go into the water without knowing how to swim, or at least float. So you evolve through all these lessons until you are here now that went through all the lessons you possibly can. And now universe is like, well, I'm going to start challenging you with fourth dimensional shit to see and test you to see how compassionate you are. Because if you want to move up and ascend, you need to learn. I had to do a lot of mindset changing. I had to do a lot of clearing out and understanding why people operate the way they do. And if you're in political movements, it's a freaking movie that we're watching because it's helping us understand what took place and what actually happened in the world. And when you do the research and you do the digging, which most people like, oh, but I heard on television. Well, no, television is not to dictate to you. You do your research. You look things up and you look in odd places because it's those odd places that you're going to find your answers that you're going to resonate with. And it doesn't matter what topic. We've been lied to about everything. And there's half truths in there to make it sound plausible. And there's some truth into some things, but we've been lied to. Just about everything. It's really, really sad. Really, really sad. She hints, Dolores Cannon hints on the simulation. Ra calls it the illusion. Dolores Cannon has a very poetic way of talking about levels of consciousness, and you can sense the simulation there because this is a school. Earth is a school. Dolores Cannon is very much on that you're here for lessons, but you're also here to teach lessons to others. So again, here's where duality and the rhythm of polarity comes into play. You're given a role. You're upstairs with your family that you chose. Hey, Dad, you're going to teach me this lesson. Hey, Mom, I'm going to teach you that lesson. Hey, and it's not just one, it's multiple, because these people are in your lives for a good, and depends on their, choice of when they were going to leave. It could be 10 years. It could be 50 years. My parents only stayed with me, my dad for 22 years, and my adopted mom and dad, and my mother 34 of the years that I lived. My birth mother never saw me, and my biological mom never saw me, and my biological father I don't really speak to. But I planned it out for that reason. I had lessons to give. My mom apologized to me at the end of her life, not realizing the powerful being that I am, and that I was right about a lot of things that she never gave me credit for because she didn't believe in it. And when she cracked and saw things for herself and started understanding what I was talking about my whole life, she apologized and she said, "I'm really sorry." It's harder for the older generation to understand what they are because they've been programmed to think and do things in a certain way. They were molded and shaped as we were by them, depending on what generation you're coming from. But then here comes me, the black sheep, who challenges it all. And many of you are the same way. We come here to challenge everything and everybody and all the perceptions. A lot of people look at me and they're like, "Ooh, she looks like she's into fetish. Ooh, she looks like she's into all this kinky crap. Ooh, she's a Satanist. Look at her makeup. It's so dark." None the while, and nonetheless, I am a light being. I self-express differently to challenge all of you to think outside of your box and your paradigm, to stop labeling and stereotyping people based on what they look like. And that should go across the board because, look what's going on, the political correctness in the world. Not all people are bad. And it's the ones that you are least expecting in your everyday life that are the kindest, most generous people that you can imagine. Again, this is my natural hair color. It comes out this way. I'm only 39 years old. This has been on my head for at least 10 years that I let it grow out. my makeup. I enjoy my makeup. I enjoy doing my makeup. You don't have to like it. I like it, and I'm going to do it. And the same with you. You do you, because I am the I am. We're all fractals of God. Dolores Cannon does discuss that in many of her books. And we're all fractals of each other because we're all made up of the same fractal of source, creator, whatever you want to call it, the one you might pray to at night. We have to be humble in our understanding that we have all been divided by culture, race, creed, sex, all of it for a reason, and we chose those paths to learn from and to overcome. The system that we live in, the simulation, the Luciferian, satanic, I don't want to call it Luciferian because I have my resolve on that. The satanic simulation that we're living in was designed for us to be in the dark, to know and learn of the light. What happened was an infiltration from entities and beings that we hear quite often. Now there's speculation on the Anunnaki. So guys, there is good and bad in every interdimensional being, archangel, spirits, all of it, aliens. The pendulum here swings both ways. Where do you find yourself? Always get to neutral because we swing both ways. We wake up and we don't feel good. We're low vibing, and not because, it depends on your situation. But you know what? We can always look at cute animal pictures and get on a little higher. We can look at things with the glass half empty or the glass half full. It's up to you and your mindset to choose where you want to be on that scale. But always try to find neutral and neutrality because you can't go wrong. And then you can start and build to go swing up. But you need to know from both in this density. And when you move up, you start learning to see things a little differently. You start treating people a little differently once you understand that, okay, they chose this experience. They're treating you this certain way, whatever it is, on a negative scale because they're trying to teach you something. They're unaware of that you made an agreement to come in. So let's just say the narcissistic empathic relationship. You signed up for that and you asked that person to do that for you, to experience the abuse, the trauma, and whatever have you, because you needed to learn a really tough lesson that probably broke your heart. And we don't know why we ask for abuse. We don't know why we ask for tragic, catastrophic shit to happen in our lives, but it's to help us and those around us. For example, this is tough to hear for many people, and this is what I resonate and what I take from the universe. There are mission spirits. Mission spirits are those who come in with a mission to help a collective. And that could be the man that gets shot by the police. I'm not going to insert a gender or a race in this, just to keep things neutral. But you know what I'm talking about. Children that come in with cancer. They already know that they came in with knowing that they were not going to have a long life. They came in to help with compassion. When you see things in a compassionate way, and you start to understand that, like, what you're projecting out into the universe isn't compassion, you get these big challenges in your life. And even if you are the most sincere, loving person and something bad happens, you're being tested to see if you can keep that swing up. and not completely crash down. This is all a test. My situation is a test. I held out because not that change isn't easy. I'm by myself. It's very difficult, and this has been my life. I've always been by myself and always done things by myself. And I had to reach deep down and ask for help. And I'm not getting much of it, but I'm getting enough where I'm still here, surviving. And I hope one day I don't need to live in survival mode. And I hope a lot of you too don't have to live in survival mode. It's not fun. It's not appreciated. It's not what we asked for, but it's giving us immense soul growth so that we have compassion when we see other people going through it. When I first lost my dad and I went to the first medium I've ever went to, when she told me that I have the medium gift, she said, "You're going to have a harder life than most people because you have to go through all these bad, terrible loss and situations so that you can help people that aren't of a strong will to help them get through their situation. But you don't know until you go through it." I gave myself a very big challenge. And I know many of you are in the same boat. So just know that you have a strong will and you will survive and get through this. And it's all destined. As much as we have free will, things are still written for us. And our timelines change when we make a better decision and we get on a higher path. Things play out a little differently, but at the end of the day, we choose the manner in which we go. I believe. Now, as much as we were the rock, the fire, the air, are we acknowledging the fact that what we live on is an entity, has consciousness, Gaia, Terra, it has consciousness. Are we feeding it good or are we feeding it negative? She's purging right now, but big time. The world is either flooding out, volcanoes keep going off, it is hot as proverbial hell. There's people seeing tornadoes that never in places had tornadoes. There's people who are seeing immense droughts. There are people flooding. There are people, there's mudslides. There's all kinds of like crazy shit happening right now in the world. She's cleansing herself. She's over it. She's done. She's like, "Hi, treat me better or I'm going to cause havoc." And she's causing havoc. And yes, there is manipulation there. No doubt about that. But in essence, she's clearing herself out. She needs to. And it's on multiple levels and dimensions that this is happening. It's not just happening in third dimension, third density. This is happening on fourth and fifth as well. She's preparing us to move up. Why we haven't moved up into a new Earth yet, in my opinion, is because not everybody's playing by the same game. We're not all playing together. We're not playing nicely together. Dolores Cannon states, if you are of the negative polarity, and this is also the law of one, you're going over here. You're going to shift into something else. Not bad, it's of creators, so not to worry. And then the rest of us are going to a fourth density positive planet. Or we're staying on Earth and ascending our vibration to the next density. Here's where this comes in. Why this has not happened. Many of us are still healing our traumas from our childhood. We're still coming to understanding of getting out of the one book paradigm. And what I mean by that is that you're holding your one book. It could be your Bible, whatever that Bible is to you, your Quran, your Torah. You're holding it as the one and only thing that is correct. And that one and only source is the one source that is the only one that's correct. That Jesus Christ is the one and only being that is everybody's savior. Whoa, hold up now. We are here to achieve Christ consciousness. Christ is an office held by many different entities. Buddha held it. Many others held it. Not any one religion has it right. So you got to take yourself back and start acknowledging that there is a plethora of religions and faiths and followings that people have, and you need to start respecting that. No one's taking away what you feel and resonate with. Absolutely not. If Jesus is your Lord and Savior, that's a beautiful thing. But you know what? Stop impressing it upon other people and stop spreading that to say, well, you're going to hell if you don't believe in it. Because let me tell you something, that's wrong. There is no religion upstairs. It's the law of one. We are all one. Religion is man-made, and it's very manipulated. It's been very highly manipulated on all ends, in all religions. So you people need to stop. We need to understand the depth and the scope of this universe. And it's hard to comprehend in our little 3D minds. Even if we're on a higher density of thinking and a higher consciousness of thinking, the collective isn't there yet. And the collective is not having compassion towards other people because their one book is what dictates everything, right? Wrong. There's not any book in this planet, on this planet, that has it right. There's not one channeling that has it all correct. It's metaphysics. It's all about perception. One person can perceive flat Earth. Stop making fun of the flat earthers and stop making fun of the globies. It's all about perception. And there's no one or right, wrong answer. Sad, but true. There isn't one wrong answer because it's all based on your perception of where you're at in the time of where you're sitting. It's the truth. You don't perceive the same things as other people. I've taken art class. The teacher in drawing class put a whole mess of shit in the middle of the room. And depending where you sit, you're going to draw what you see. Your perception of what you see is different because the next person is seeing a different angle from where you're at. And the person next to you is seeing another angle and another object that you don't see in your purview. And the person that's on the opposite side of the room, even though they're drawing the same amount of crap that's in the middle of the room, they're getting another drawing that you're not. So it's all about perception, and it's all about where you are in the here and now. So people need to stop with that. Number one, no one's taking away your book. No one. Stop imposing it on other people. Have an open heart to at least let in new information that's not of what you have. For me, I'm very well versed in a lot of different things. I'm not well studied in everything, but it's beautiful to see other cultures and how they see the beginning of the origins of Earth. Do any of them have it right? We don't know. Until we ascend, until we get that information from higher densities. We don't know. And not one person has it right. It's all here. in your heart that counts. And when we are more open to that conversation and stop looking at people like me like, you're fucking crazy, bitch. No, you're not open minded. I'm open minded. I look at everything as a totality and start plucking things that make sense to me. Might not make sense to you, but it makes sense to me. Compassion. Have compassion. Learn what that word means to you. How do we build a new earth if we don't have compassion for each other and we're not looking out for each other? The biggest test for most people is where you have your abundance and you're not giving your abundance to others. It doesn't need to be financial. It could be in food. If you have an apple farm and you have more than enough abundance and you know that you saw somebody say that they're hungry, what's wrong with bagging up some apples and giving it to that person you have enough? What happens when you have a garden and you have all this lettuce and you know that you're not going to eat all this lettuce because it goes bad after a certain amount of time? What are you going to do with all of that abundance? You're going to give it to people who need it. And that works with everything. I had a yard sale. I had stuff that I gave away because people needed stuff. As much as I need the financial money so I can purchase a rental van or a truck to get my things to my next location, I still knew that people needed, and I put a bin together and said, hey, this is free. Dig in, see if you need it. My knowledge, I give it for free. If you like to support my work, that's on your free will to choose to do it. If you know you have a job that's in a spiritual capacity or an artistic capacity or something you think that I'm really capable of doing, that's another form of abundance. That's helping another person out that's having compassion. Sharing a video, liking on a video, those are all forms of compassion because you know that's going to help the greater total. If you know how the game is played and they like, you hit the like button and you start sharing, you're more able to be seen to a very wide crowd. But if no one hits the like button, this is just how things work. So as much as people are like, well, don't worry about it, people are going to reach you because spirit brought you to them. Of course. That's how I got more well-versed and knowledgeable in the last 8 years, by YouTube videos and other platforms, learning, looking at other people, taking their information, resonating with it or not. I still had something to juxtapose with my values and my thinking. Always good to have to play the devil's advocate. You don't know until you're in these situations. And then, I'm reading about fourth density. I'm reading about compassion and love. And I'm seeing a whole bunch of things happening in the universe. Why? A lot of people are asking, why hasn't things happened yet? Well, we're waiting for people to be more compassionate towards others. And again, it doesn't need to cost you a thing to do. If you know that there is people who are in the struggle, who are just up and coming, what harm does it do to go on a video and like it? Even if you don't resonate with it too much, but you know the person is trying, you hit the like button. You don't even need to share it, but you're hitting and you're giving it a little bit of its energy. What happens if you know a friend that might know another person that's in an industry that's looking to hire, and you just put the little buzz out? There's no harm in that. That's having compassion. Treating yourself with compassion is also very necessary. And a lot of people are very hard on themselves, especially people with a multitude of missions, with the big grand tasks to go through. And we're like, okay, hi, universe. What's up? Start loving yourself. Start having compassion for yourself. In my Facebook posts, I've been telling everybody how proud I am of myself, that I'm overcoming odds that I didn't think I could. That I made it this far, and I'm going to push myself to go further, because I honestly am tired. I'm over it. I'm physically exhausted, not getting enough sleep. And then to boot, it's like 105 degrees. I wanted to have a yard sale again today. Couldn't do it. It was too hot. Burnt up from the day before. But and also like, okay, so how many more boxes do I need? And where are these boxes coming from? Where are the supplies? I'm going out and trying to create this to push myself forward, to show people it's okay. I did it, you can do it too. I did it my whole life. Having arthritis, having thyroid issues, having up and down weight, it's not easy and it's not healthy. But I showed when I was younger, and I worked for an organization as a lifeguard, and many people are like, what the hell are you in this chair, and why is your feet up, and why is all this stuff? I'm like, well, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and right now my body's not doing 100%. If you want me to jump in to save you, I need to be 100% to let me get there so I can help you. Oh, what's wrong? I have arthritis. You at 24? What? Wow. Didn't think younger people could get that. And then coming in with braces and coming in and doing, and they're like, well, you can work. I could do it too. Oh, you could do anything if you put your mind to it, but you have to know your limitations, and you have to understand and relearn and train your body. The same thing we're doing now on a mental situation. We're training our minds to think differently, to twist things differently, so that we can achieve what Dolores Cannon, what we spoke about, is getting and obtaining this new earth and not ruining it and not falling for the old traps. And the only way we could do that is deprogramming our minds to think differently, to think outside of the box, and to start resonating and trusting our own selves and our hearts. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination to change your mindset. It takes time, and we're all not collectively there yet. That's why we haven't shifted yet, in my opinion. There's a nugget in here, but I have to be very careful with how it's presented. In a session, there's a person who's describing this planet and this density that we're all inhabiting as a building. And each building, you have an elevator, right? Each floor, there are many different entities, and with different purposes and different jobs. And they're no less or greater than, they're all equal to. So a person on level 1 is still as important and is doing their work as it's supposed to happen as the same person that's on a higher level, on level 10, that they're doing their own work and their own individual mission. We're all aiding the planet in our own way, as we are all in a building functioning in different ways, but upkeeping the building and the vibration and the energy. So no matter if you're on the first level or you're on the highest level, you still hold the same importance and the same purpose as that person up top to the person on the bottom. And we're all on different floors. And those floors are experience. And we're all learning from each other. We're all learning from level 1, and we're all learning from, let's say, level 20. Even the people on level 20 have to look down and go down to the lower floors sometimes to leave the building. But they also have to learn the compassion to, hey, we need to be patient, and patience is a virtue. Patience is hard. We need to be patient and wait for this person to learn their lessons so they can move up to level 2. With patience, we all get where we need to go. But the lack of compassion for that patience is, in my opinion, and what Spirit's been giving me in the last couple of days, what's been holding a lot of us back. I watch a lot of podcasts. I got rid of my television. I'm trying to sell my televisions, but I haven't turned my television on besides watching hockey over the winter. When I'm in a chat and you keep repeating, I'm only eating once a day. Does anybody have, a job? Or somebody that can give me a job? Because obviously putting out 1,000,005 resumes and emailing and corresponding with different entities never worked out for me because it wasn't supposed to. But it's the energy put forth into such motion. And no one ever answered. Those people kind of ignored, made me feel invisible, while they're giving abundance to people who are already having abundance. Maybe in different ways. And everybody plays their role. But what happens to the people in your local community? Very few people that I thought would help me out helped me out. They could have done 2 seconds worth of work of calling somebody or emailing somebody. Hey, I have a friend. She had hard times. Do you have anything for her? She's not having success. Maybe I can get it for her. Oh, someone hooked me up with they were giving out boxes of vegetables and fruit. Stuff like that goes a very far way for somebody who has nothing. People who keep screaming out for help that get denied and ignored are usually the ones that do commit suicide. I know half of my friends are dead because of suicide. I have an uncle and my birth mother who died from suicide. Why? Because they felt ignored and invisible to the world. No one understood them. No one gave them the time of day. And those are the people that took their lives. They were in that much pain and suffering and felt no one was there for them. No one picked up the call to help them. You could be that game changer for somebody. One person. It could be the homeless veteran on the street. They shouldn't be there in the first place. A lot of people, believe it or not, I've walked and conversated with a lot of homeless people in New York. Many of them are not mentally here by design. Okay, what they're getting pumped into is disgusting. But there are people who actually choose to have a very nomadic life. And we have to respect that. A lot of people don't mind living in the streets with nothing. They find it a challenge. It's very bizarre. But there are people like that. There are people who do and thrive better with nothing than people that have everything. But a majority of the people had very hard times. They felt ignored. They felt like they exhausted themselves asking for help. And they might have been asking the wrong type of people, but you don't know until you ask for it. And even if you signed up for a hard life and a hard mission, when you have the courage and conviction to ask and people are ignoring, where's the compassion in that? And I'm only saying this to say, I've always been a charitable person. I've always gone out of my way when I could and had the means to help people on a spiritual level. When Hurricane Sandy hit, I went all out. Other, tragedies. Always went straight to the kitchen, boxed up non-perishables, looked in the closet for clothes, batteries, supplies, whatever have you, feminine products, always bagged it up and try to ship it out. Always give my time where I can to others who need it. That's just me. That's my personality. I'm more of a giver than a receiver. Always been that way. It's up to you to choose what kind of personality you exude. And if you think you need to change to exude more, go for it, because it's only going to better you at the end. I feel good helping other people. I feel good knowing I have a bunch of art supplies that I could possibly use, but I'm not going to be able to carry it right now. So if I know that there are moms and friends that have kids that are in our programs or they can't afford the art supplies, here, take it. I can make money off of it, but I want you to have it for the kids. As much as I need money right now so that I can physically move, I've been giving stuff away because other people can use it and they need it. That's where my compassion rolls in right now. So on a whole basis, we need to start doing better. And by doing is showing others that they can do it too. And explaining to them, hey, you have a garden full of tomatoes. Are you going to eat all of that? Are you going to use all of that before it goes bad? Well, no. Well, there's a neighbor down the block. Why don't you give them some tomatoes? Simple. You're somebody that drinks. You have water bottles. You have cans. You know, when people do the bottle collecting and they come around with their carts, I don't know, not every neighborhood in America has this, but they do it here. People who are on hard times, they collect those cans and bottles and then they go cash all that stuff in. So why not, if you're just putting it to the trash and you're in a neighborhood that people are not collecting, maybe you know somebody that could use those cans to cash in for the extra money. It's not a lot. We only allowed here $12 a day limit. That's a lot of cans though. Or bottles. So it's up to you to choose how you want to share your abundance. Or think of things outside of the box that could help others get out of this bad situation. We're not alone. I'm not alone. There are so many people suffering right now. There's so much inflation. There's gas prices high as a kite, all by design, by the way, to wake you up. Now, if you already know this, have compassion. Because those people that aren't awake, that's also by design to ask you to have compassion for them. They don't know. They think you're a lunatic. But there will be a day that they finally get that epiphany, they get that lightning bolt, they get the light codes finally, right? We all do it on our own time, and we have to be patient. But in the meantime, there's this in-between period. It's very uncomfortable. There's a lot of people suffering. There's a lot of people that, thought they could do it, and now they can't. If you have abundance in one area, share it. And I'm giving you plenty of examples. This is how we create this new earth. This is how we ascend. This is how we help each other. We're all one and the same. We have to start acting that way. Everybody's abundance and their perception of abundance is different. But everybody here has different types of abundance that they could be sharing. So why don't we get on that and start doing those missions? I know one of my missions is to tell everybody and talk about books. And to give my insights on these. To make art, to create. That's one of my many missions. We were all the rock, the tree. Are you thanking them? Are you thanking Mother Gaia right now? Are you sending her love? Are you being compassionate towards other people? Especially the religion stuff. Again, there's a lot of waves of kids coming in right now with different star families, different universes and galaxies. We are here to show and set an example, especially second wave. The first wave, they're on the older scale. They might not even realize that they're star seeds. The second wave definitely knows that there's different and that there's something with them that is going to change the world. So why aren't you doing that now? Why aren't we need to set the example for the children. And right now they're being heavily affected by everything. Why can't mommy feed us? Why can't I go to school with normalcy? Why am I being taught nonsense? What's going on? The new wave is here and they keep coming in more and more. And it's not going to end. These children already have the upgrades. These children are here waiting and being patient on us so that we can all move together. And we need to do that. We need to set the example. Things are happening behind the scenes, without a doubt. But we need to do it locally. We need to do it in a community. We need to do everything now. It needs to start now. Understanding everybody's on their own path and own journey. Having compassion for others on their journey. Being patient with those that are not awake yet or just not getting it. That's another thing. Again, everybody resonates with whatever they resonate with. You might not agree with the person that they listen to, but if that's what woke them up, that was meant to happen that way. I listen to my favorite Jason. He's not everybody's cup of tea. He's blunt. He's an earth sign. Tells it like it is. Doesn't give a shit. A lot of people can't have that brutality given to them in one chunk because it's it's a shock. They need someone else to kind of disseminate and take it slow. And there are other people that do that. You got to find what works for you. And it's not going to be agreeable on everybody. We got people who are diehard one thing and not the other. That's fine. Again, it's all about perception. And then again, with the PSYOP nonsense. It doesn't matter in the manner in which you wake up and who you listen to. Start discerning, though, the information. Start seeing who are they aligning themselves with. Why are they aligning with certain people and not others? Then you go in and see what resonates with you on a personal level. Again, there is no right or wrong. It's all about perception. And we're all in different perception places. Again, I'm in the middle of a room looking at a model. That one person isn't getting the butt cheek and I'm getting the front part. All the same person, but different perceptions. One person might be talking about the galactic lore and making fun of the flat earth people. That needs to stop too, because the perception that you have is yours. That other person perceives differently. Is it that they're wrong? No, no one's right or wrong, because it's all existing in the same plane of existence, because we all perceive differently. All possibilities are there because we live in a multiverse. With every outcome that could possibly be, it exists. Maybe not on this plane of existence, but in another it does. And a medium or a person that can see into the future, a seer, whatever you want to call those people like myself, they pick up on timelines. It might not be the timeline we're on right now, or it might be one that you are shifting out of going to a higher one, but they're not picking up on it. Does that mean they're right or wrong? No. Again, you got to resonate within your heart. And Dolores Cannon says it. She preaches it. It's all within you. Her daughter preaches it. It's all within you. It's up to you to swing on that pendulum up. When you're swinging down, it's natural to swing on both. It's where you try to keep your vibration that counts. So if you know you're having a bad day, what can you bring your way up here? Or at least in neutral? It's all up to you. But a lot of people need to hear this, and a lot of people need to understand it's all about perception, and it doesn't matter because there's no right or wrong. And congratulations, we just made it into the day without time. I recommend this book. It goes in very well in depth with a lot of different topics because she writes all the instances of people just coming in and not knowing their mission. And their mission is just to be here to be, to spread their light that they're not even aware that they have. Just to be here, to raise the vibration for others. That's sometimes all you are. That doesn't make you any less or any more of a human being. That doesn't make you any less or any more valuable than anybody else. We're all equal. And that's another thing we need to start understanding for ourselves. No one is above another. We're all equal. It doesn't matter to the billionaire, to the person with nothing. We're all human beings. We're a species of one. Buy this book. It's going to open up a paradigm for you. It's going to show you many numerous stories from different people, what they were, what their issues were. Sometimes illnesses is because you are a starseed and your body can't handle their density. Sometimes it's from your ancestral past, from past lives, and there's a block and you can't undo it. And then finally, it gets undone. We need to come together. We need to understand that each wave has different roles, but individually, we all have our different missions in life. And we all fit a puzzle piece that's a grander picture than you can imagine. Where do you fit in? How can you fit into being more compassionate? How do you fit into that role of being like taking what you have, what is considered for you abundance, and spreading that abundance out to people who could use it and who will accept it? Very important. And again, it doesn't need to be financial. It could be in food. It could be in clothing. It could be in anything. Knowledge. Be the light that you are here to be. I am a light being. I emanate my light. And I try to give it to everybody that walks in my path. And yes, I take in, and a lot of people suck it out. Then I'm depleted. But learn where the balance is, where to put your barriers up, learn to bubble, learn to put a shield up, because there are energy vampires out there. There are people that want just your energy and energy alone. It's okay to share, but again, sharing is caring to an extent. Not everybody has your best interests at heart. Not everybody's going to support you. It's tough when you're going about it alone and you have nothing. I've been there in many instances. We have your upstairs team, and they are looking out for you. Know that. You're not alone. I know I'm not alone. I got a whole freaking army behind me, and above me, and below me. Remember, we're on the building, going on an elevator that hits different floors with different missions and different levels. Wherever you get off at is where you belong. Until you reach that level, you move up. Collectively, we're on the cusp of moving up, but we need more people to start learning fourth density lessons and having compassion and unconditional love. Because when you block your ego blocks you, because your ego is here to defend you and to keep you safe. But if you don't ever open up the door to see, like, is the safe scene? Is it safe? Oh yeah, this looks okay. You venture out a little and you take some stuff in. I could take a few more steps. And you're surveying to see if it's safe. Baby steps are fine. At the end of the day, we're all individual for a reason in this third density. Consciously, many of us are trying to form a social memory complex. We'll still be individualized, but we'll be able to breach the ether to get all information. Some people don't want that, and that's fine. We all chose before we came here what we wanted for ourselves in the best and highest light. So let's choose that. But if we're still waiting for things to happen in our lives or the major earth changes, it's because there's not enough of us exuding what needs to happen for fourth density. And the lessons still have to be learned. And we're all going through it together. But we need to start pushing a little bit harder and working a little harder on that. And starting at your local community helps. But if you start seeing people asking for help, and if you can help them, do it. We're here to give examples to this fourth wave of children that were already born and children that are going to be born. They're already upgraded. They're looking to us to show them the way, because they don't know what way they're going right now. We're here to mold them, to show them so they can better this planet. How could we do that if we're not exuding that and making an example of? Even if you don't have children, it doesn't matter. Showing your kids what it is to have unconditional love and compassion, and to not stereotype and label people, and get out of this programming that we've all grown up in. It's not easy. And these kids are way more bombarded than we ever were, at least the 80s babies. We grew up without much of anything. We had television, that was it. We didn't have video games. We didn't have social media. Computers were just in its infancy. We didn't have any of this stuff to distract us. We went outside and played. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I'll leave you on this. She wants to teach her kids basic necessities of life. How to grow a garden. Even if it doesn't come out, the crop doesn't come out perfect, it doesn't matter. It's the actual doing of making a garden. It's learning how to sew your own clothes, or a button pops off, how to fix your clothes. How to do simple stitches to get your shirt fixed. How to recycle. How to build. Starting them young with basic, simple, and it's perfect for a little kids to learn. Crocheting, gardening, cooking, basic stuff. You don't want your kids doing crazy shit because they could put the house on fire. But the simple ins and outs. This is what we need to start teaching our children, if you haven't done so already. Including them in what you're doing. Now, do you expect a child at 3 years old to nail in a nail? No, because if they hit their thumb, they're going to break it. They're going to damage themselves. Having them hand you the nail is another story. Helping them till and get the soil ready for the seeds. Showing them, oh, this is the time that mommy's going to plant the lettuce, or daddy the onion. So vital. And we need to do this for our kids and the community kids. Basic home skills. This is how we're going to get to the new earth, or create what that consciousness is. And we all want to know why we're stuck here. And I asked Spirit today, because it's so hot, I'm like, all right, I wanted to do stuff. And then I'm sitting here sweating. I'm like, no, because I'm going to sweat more and I'm hungry. But I asked in meditation today, and Spirit pretty much told me we're lacking the compassion on a massive scale. It's not to say that we don't have compassionate people. We have plenty of that. But on a bigger scale, we're lacking that. So let's move toward it. Do simple things. Start changing your mindset towards that, towards, I'm only going to help people that look like me. Or I'm only going to do this because, I'm going to gain brownie points in heaven. No. Do it because your heart tells you to do. But it will give you brownie points if you do it with unconditional love. That you want to see everybody thrive. You want to see everybody equal. We all are equal. We're not treated that way in this dimension. We will in the next. But we have to learn these lessons, and we have to go through this now. And it's going to get rougher if we don't start making those changes in our lives. So let's start doing that. Read The 3 Waves of Volunteers in a New Earth by Dolores Cannon. Vital book to read. highly recommended book that I give to everybody who's just awakening to understanding the complexity of where we're at and where we're going. And with that, sending each and every one of you love and light. I hope you all have a wonderful week that's ahead. Look out for the Schumann resonance. It's been spiking. And we're entering a new portal the day without time. So go look and meditate, go within, start clearing your energy. Again, we swing on the pendulum. So where do you want to be swinging? And fix your mindset to get there. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.